When the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome, dear viewers from around the world, to a new and exciting episode of your program, Let's Talk. I'm your host, Malik Evangelatos, and we have a very interesting topic for you today. Look, you guys, how often have you heard people say, Islam is a complete way of life? Islam encompasses everything. Is this just lip service, or is it really true? We know Islam covers a political system, a judicial and legal system, a financial system. It regulates how we deal with our spouses, our parents, our children, friends, and even strangers. But does Islam cover small and seemingly forgotten details? For example, like our personal hygiene. It's an interesting question, and to answer this interesting question, we need an expert. So we brought for you Dr. Mahmoud Al-Dinawi from, of course, the very prestigious Al-Azhar University. Dr. Mahmoud, thank you very much for being with us. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show with us, inshallah. Thank you. And of course, also, we have our studio audience. You guys, assalamu alaikum as well. Thank you very much for being here. I always look forward to seeing you guys as well, and I hope you guys come back next episode, inshallah, as well. Excellent. Dr. Mahmoud, I want to start our program today. I'm originally from the United States, and I live in the Middle East. And I see a statement written all the time in the mosques, in the wudu section. I hear people quote this statement all the time. I thought it was a hadith myself, or maybe a verse from the Quran. It seems to be very important to Muslims. This statement is, in English, cleanliness is from the Iman. Is this a hadith?
Yes. You might be surprised if you know that there is another hadith which supports this area very much.
Okay.
The Prophet says in the second hadith that purification or cleanliness is half of faith.
Okay.
So
half of the deen.
50% of your faith is cleanliness. Is purification.
Oh, excellent. But that statement, cleanliness is from the Iman, it's actually not a hadith, is it?
No, it's
okay.
not. No.
But the statement that you said now...
But the meaning of the statement is fine, is religiously accepted.
Okay, it's religiously accepted. But the hadith you said now, cleanliness is half of the faith. I mean, that's a huge...
Yes,
a huge topic.
Yeah.
Why? What's so important about being very clean?
Okay. Because first of all, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us here to this life, He provided us with everything that keeps our life as it should be, as it has been prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay.
So part of the techniques to keep your life is to take care of it, is to take care of your health, is to follow, as you said, the personal hygiene.
Okay.
Right,
this is important.
Yeah, it's highly important, because without which we might go to a position lower than human beings.
Oh, I see. So, but when we say cleanliness, we mean personal hygiene. Do we also mean the way our houses are kept, the way we keep our cars, our appearance? I mean, it encompasses everything.
Everything. The street, the whole environment itself.
Okay.
Even Islam cared a lot about the issues of environment.
Okay, excellent. We have another interesting hadith that I heard. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be with him, had said to us, do 5 things. I believe it was trim the armpit hair.
Yeah.
Do you know the 5? What are the hadith?
Actually,
removing the pubic
I don't remember them, but...
circumcision.
Yes, circumcision,
right, circumcision.
And I think...
Trimming the mustache, cutting the nails, I have it right here, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And every 40 days, and removing pubic hair, plucking the armpit hair, trimming the mustache.
Yes.
What is the benefit of that? Just for... Why would we do that?
It's cleanliness, because we are told that under each hair, especially the armpits, for example, there are lots of microbes, and that's why sometimes we get a smell that we don't like.
Right.
So this area has to be clean, because it's not exposed to the sun, it's not exposed to the air itself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, subhanAllah, actually, that's interesting that you said that there's microbes, because if we had a medical doctor here, I mean, he would tell us these things, and at this time, they did not have this medical knowledge.
Yeah.
So this is, subhanAllah, it's a very special part of Islam that these things were known to the Prophet at his time.
Yes, and Islam cares a lot also about how do you look like. If you leave your mustache untrimmed, you won't look nice at all.
Right.
And sometimes the hairs itself could catch something from microbes, from whatever, and then this will affect you as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what about from a social aspect? As Muslims, we gather a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it important also to be hygienic also because we are in the mosque and we're around other people?
And that's right.
From the social aspect as well, because we don't want to be Because there's also another hadith, of course, where the Prophet ﷺ, he told us not to eat onions.
Or garlic.
Or garlic, but it seems like a very insignificant thing. A small thing.
No, it's very significant.
But why?
Because I'll tell you, let's imagine, for example, that it's the Friday sermon, right? And you're sitting by somebody who has just eaten garlic or onion.
It's a bit offensive.
Yeah, it's a little bit offensive for you, and you might hate the prayer itself. If this person, for example, exhales or whatever, right? So Islam, the hadith says that the one who ate any of these two things, he shouldn't come to the mosque. But Sayyidina Omar, he was told that he said, if you want to eat them, then have them as cooked. Right? So you have to get rid of their smell. Nowadays you can use mint or chewing gum or whatever. Just to get rid of the bad smell itself.
Okay, and what about the siwak as well?
Yes.
That is like a toothbrush that people still use.
That's
and
right.
that is a proof that the Muslim should keep himself clean as well.
Yeah.
Because the early Muslims were using this siwak as well.
Yeah.
Okay, in Islam, what Islamic practices do we have that specifically support hygiene?
Yeah.
The first one, go ahead.
First of all, the siwak, as the hadith says, مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. It's just to clean your mouth, and then it will please your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first thing. And the second issue is that if you keep washing your hands and your face 5 times a day, none of the microbes or viruses will even reach you, because you are against these things.
Right. You're referring to the ablution that Muslims perform before prayers.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is obviously the number one.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we see a lot of Muslims, they don't use soap, but just rinsing the water 5 times a day will keep you clean and keep you in a better state of purity. What about the bath before Friday prayers as well?
That's right. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the chapter of Al-A'raf, Ya bani Adam khudhu zinatakum, take your ornament. Wear the best dress you have, wear the best clothes, especially in Friday, because you are going to meet your brothers, and it's like a festival, like an Eid, for example.
Right, okay.
So Islam always cares about, as I said, how do you look like? It wants Muslims to appear in the best of their shape, as the Prophet ﷺ used to do. People or the companions used to know the Prophet by the perfume he wears. Right? So whenever he passes by an area, they would say, oh, the Prophet has passed from here. You ask them, how do you know that? Because they say, we know the fragrance, we know the perfume that he's using very well.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
Back to the bath before Friday prayers. Is it important to take that bath to benefit the people around you?
That's right.
Right, so you're not offensive to other people.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
It's one of the great sunnahs. Even some people said, no, it's obligatory. It's for the Muslim before going to the Friday to have a shower or to have a bath, because you are not alone, right? You are with the community.
Right.
So if, let's say that somebody, for example, went to the mosque and, I'm sorry, he didn't have a bath, or he didn't wear something like deodorant or whatever, he will not look nice at all. And he will hurt others. And the hadith says that la darara wa la dirar, you shouldn't hurt yourself, you should never also hurt others by words, by wearing something which is not nice, or leaving yourself untidy, for example.
Yeah, excellent point, Dr. Jazakallah khairan for that. I think excellent point about we're Muslims, we are in a community. We're not a religion where we sit by ourselves, so we have to consider the people around us. But why is it I see Muslim men constantly scenting themselves with perfume? Why is that? Is that also a sunnah?
Yes, sure. Because the Prophet ﷺ used to love this perfume. And he said that among the things that has been made lovely to me in this life is using perfume. And as I've just mentioned, and one day I think a perfume was given to him as a gift, and he accepted it and he didn't refuse it. Oh,
excellent. I didn't know that. But also the perfume nowadays contains alcohol as well.
Yes.
But so we should stay away from, we should take care about what perfume.
The contents of the perfume itself.
Yes, subhanAllah.
You have to.
We have to take a break. I want to have many more questions for you in the next segment, inshallah. Okay. So you guys stay tuned. We have more with the doctor. Please stay with us. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on your program, Let's Talk. You guys, we have a really cool eye report, so before we get back to the doctor, I want you to check it out.
Hygiene in Islam. Muslims should enjoy the highest standard of personal hygiene of all the people in the world. In Islam, cleanliness and purification are not only usual requirements for the performance of worship, or when embracing Islam. A new Muslim takes a full-bodied shower when embracing Islam, but are a part of a Muslim's very faith. In general, the Quran advises Muslims to uphold the highest standards of physical hygiene and to be ritually clean whenever possible. For this reason, in Muslim countries, bathrooms are usually equipped with a Muslim shower situated next to the toilet, so that any individual may wash themselves. This ablution is required in order to maintain ritual cleanliness. Allah the Most High says in the Quran what is translated to mean. Truly Allah loves those who turn unto Him in repentance, and loves those who purify themselves. The Arabic word for purity is tahara, and it means to be free from filth, both spiritually and physically. Purity is the key to prayer. Spiritual tahara means being free from sin and idolatry, and denotes believing in the oneness of God. It is important as physical cleanliness. Before a person stands before God in the special connection that is prayer, he must ensure that his heart is free from sin, arrogance, and hypocrisy. Once this is accomplished, or at least greatly desired, he is able to cleanse himself from physical impurities. This is usually achieved by using water. Prior to obligatory or voluntary prayer, a person must assure that he is in the state of cleanliness. He does this by performing either wudu, often translated as ablution, or ghusl, a full bath. Wudu rids the body of minor impurities, and ghusl cleanses the body of major impurities. Ghusl must be performed after sexual intercourse, or any sexual activity that releases bodily fluids. Ghusl is also performed at the completion of a woman's menstrual period, or postpartum bleeding. Keeping the fitrah. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "From the acts of nature are 5, circumcision, removing pubic hairs, trimming the mustache, cutting nails, and plucking the hair from under the armpits."
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed that report concerning hygiene. Dr. Mahmoud, thank you for staying with us. What do you think of the report?
It's really, these are the things that every Muslim should do. He talked about the personal hygiene, the spiritual one, the physical one. I think it covered everything.
Excellent. SubhanAllah. But, Doctor, do we find a link between physical purity and cleanliness and the spiritual one?
Sure. There's a big link.
How is it linked?
The link, first of all, you can't reach the spiritual cleanliness unless you have completely done the most important parts of personal cleanliness.
Okay.
Right? In order to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? First of all, you have to clean your heart against all filth, against all dirty things, including believing that somebody else can bring you goodness, or somebody else can bring you, for example, evil. Believing that the matter or the issue of rizq or the issue of provision is in the hands, not in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in the hand of a human being. If you have these things in your heart, then the heart should be cleaned in order to reach spiritual cleanliness. That will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As He says, and my servant is still coming closer to me until I love him. And if I love him, I'll be the hearing by which he hears, on the sight by which he sees, and so on. And so on and so forth. Thank you,
Doctor.
The big link.
There is a big link, because I feel like we're constantly washing in Islam, which of course is a good thing. I know I became Muslim just about 5 years ago, and I showered and I was clean and everything like that. But as a Muslim now, we take so much more care about how we are, if we are clean, if we are presentable. You know what's an interesting point I wanted to share with you, Doctor?
Yes.
Is that I'm from the United States, and over there we claim to be very clean and civilized, but in the bathrooms they don't even rinse with water. I mean, this is a very dirty practice. And I know, alhamdulillah, in the Islamic countries that when we use the restroom, we rinse ourselves with water. But is this a cultural practice, or is this an Islamic, coming from Islam as well?
Even using water?
Yeah.
Yes, it's an Islamic practice, of course.
Okay.
Because it's, in order to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to completely clean externally and internally. Internally means the heart itself shouldn't be busy with anybody else but with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay.
So even Islam told us to, for example, to wash the legs, and because you might walk in an area which is not clean, for example, so you might have picked something.
Yeah.
So that's why we make wudu.
That's why we make wudu. I always wonder, why are we only making wudu on our feet and hands, and why not a complete bath every prayer? But like you said, just because we may walk and collect dirt or something, some filth, something like that. SubhanAllah, that's an excellent point. But back to the rinsing with water, I'm very happy about that practice, because like you said, we can't reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we don't have any cleanliness. Is there any Quranic evidences or proof where Allah says the Muslims are clean, or the Muslims should be clean as well?
The verse which was mentioned in the report, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah loves those who repent to Him most of the time, and Allah loves those who keep themselves clean, right? So you can't reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unless you are in the state of complete cleanliness. If there is any, if somebody, for example, let's say he's praying while his dress is not clean, while his dress, for example, is filthy, the prayer will not be clean.
That's why you can't pray without wudu.
That's right.
Or because you have to have that basic cleanliness. What about a practice that we see many Muslims observing, with wearing your pants above the ankles? It seems like a small thing as well, but in the Western countries where sometimes young people, they let their clothes drag on the floor, I think also that's a hygienic thing as well, because you collect dirt and dust.
That's right. That's right.
I don't think it's a very good practice to be doing. But why do the Muslims, is there a
hadith
concerning this about the
to shorten for example the trousers and these things, just to keep, because sometimes during rains or whatever, or we don't know the roads very well, so there might be something wrong, there might be something which is not clean, right? So and as we said in the beginning, that Islam cares about the whole community itself, so how about if your trousers is not clean and you join the mosque, right? Or I'm sorry for saying the trousers itself little bit smelly. So then you are going to hurt others as well.
Right. It's not a good action. I want to change gears and ask you about cleanliness in 3 places. The first one is cleanliness in the mosque. I've prayed, alhamdulillah, I've been able to pray and travel a bit, and I noticed in the United States, most of the time the masjids are very clean, alhamdulillah. I've been in Saudi Arabia in Jordan, and I noticed the wudu section and the toilets are separated from the masjid. I'm here in Egypt, I see that it's one building. What is your opinion concerning that? Because sometimes the wudu section emits an odor and it's not clean.
Yes, that's right. It depends on the spaciousness of the mosque itself. If the mosque is big, people make something like separation. But how about if the mosque itself is very small, so they can't separate the ablution place from prayer room itself. But generally, it should be separated, because and when you pray, you are looking for a spirituality. You don't want to be interrupted by an order, for example, or people. Sometimes when they make wudu, they make some noise, or the voice of water itself. So it distracts your khushu' in a way.
Your concentration. And also, this seems like a small topic, but sometimes I think it bothers people praying as well. Sometimes when we go into a mosque and the carpet is filthy. Obviously, this is not a good practice as Muslims. We should be taking care and keeping the mosques clean, isn't that right?
Cleaning the mosques is something very important. We know the hadith that a narration says that was a woman, another narration said that was a man who used to clean the mosque. And when the Prophet ﷺ knew about his or her death, he told the companions, "Shall you guide me to his or her grave?" And the Prophet went to the grave and he offered him or her the funeral prayer. Because of what? Because of just cleaning the mosque itself.
That's how important she was. Yes, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
And there's also a hadith about a Bedouin who came to the masjid and he actually did something foul in the masjid. Can you share that with us as well, and the lesson behind that?
During the time of the Prophet, a Bedouin came to the Prophet's mosque and he passed water in the mosque itself, right?
Okay. So, out of ignorance?
Out of ignorance, because he didn't know about the sacredness of the mosque. So the companions were very angry. They were about to punish this person. And the Prophet said, leave him, because he doesn't know. He said, just bring some water and then just spray the water, and then the place itself will be clean. But I mean, this person did this out of ignorance.
Of course. But at that time, the mosque had no floor. I believe it was just dirt.
Anyway, what makes me sometimes a bit angry is about the behavior, right? And you said about personal hygiene. Before going to the mosque, right, we have to check our socks, right? So some people, for example, I'm sorry, but this happens in some places. Right? Leave their sock, for example, socks uncleaned or unwashed, for example, for a week, and then this will leave a bad smell, and then you will go to the mosque, and then this will affect the carpet. And when you prostrate,
it's a big problem. When you prostrate, it breaks your concentration.
Yeah, that's right.
And like you said, it makes you have a little bit of
I mean, this is not very
negativity.
common, but in some very, very small areas, you might find this. Alhamdulillah, it's not. We can't say this is a phenomenon, but it's
but it
something
happens,
very.
What stories do we have from the Sunnah about cleanliness in our homes?
Yeah.
Do we have any examples about why it's very important to keep the house clean?
Yes.
What are the wives of the Prophet practice?
We have the best example about the Prophet ﷺ, who used to clean his home by himself.
This practice has been forgotten among men. Period. I don't think any Muslim men practice this, or very rare.
Because as we know very well, that the worst thing that we left the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. I'll tell you about an example about him. Some people, this might be irrelevant to our topic, but I have to say it. Some people understand the word man to be someone who is rough, who is harsh, who is just giving orders. He doesn't help his wives. He doesn't do anything at home, just giving orders, right? And he's sitting, and the food is coming to him, and drinks are coming to him.
As if he's in a hotel.
Yeah. But here, if we go back and just have a look at the hadith that Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha reports, she said that the Prophet ﷺ, he was in the profession or craft or job of his wives, meaning that he used to help his wives doing, for example, food in the kitchen, cleaning plates, and doing all these things.
Even stitching his own clothes.
This is an example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. Indeed, you have the best example in the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, right? He used to do something like medical care for his wives, take care of them, and this is the example that we should follow.
Of course, and I even heard that he would iron his own clothes or stitch his own clothes.
Iron his clothes, fixing his shoes, milking the
animals.
Right.
But when the prayer time came, he would stop.
That's right.
And go to the mosque. And unfortunately, also, if I can comment on your thought, Doctor, also the same people that demand so much from their wives and to do these things, at the same time, most of them didn't implement any Islamic practices in their houses, actually. So it's like they don't pray themselves, but then they wanted to demand that from their wives. And also, let's talk about the physical, the third realm. We talked about the house a bit in the masjid, and also let's talk about the physical appearance of a Muslim hygienically. We see people dressing in different ways, but the main point is to be clean and presentable. But what does that mean? Because some of us will have big beards, some have small, some wear a kameez, like a thobe, and some wear a suit. What is your opinion concerning this matter?
Anyway, people, they have different tastes, right?
Okay, so different tastes.
For example, love jilbab or jalabiya.
Okay.
Some others love, for example, to have suit and trousers. And anyway, any of these types of dress is okay, is accepted by Islam, as long as it doesn't, for example, take you from your nature as a man, as a you know,
of course,
you shouldn't wear something, for example, that women wear, or something that is very, very colorful, which looks like women, for example.
Okay, so as long as it doesn't take you outside of being a man, because as you know, I'm from San Francisco, and it is the homosexual capital of the world. And we see, subhanAllah, and I think this is a hadith as well, that there become a time when a man will look like a woman, and a woman will look like a man.
That's right.
I believe that's also a hadith. But as you said, as long as we dress that in a way that resembles a man and we're clean, that shouldn't be problematic at all, inshallah. Okay, very good. But why bright colors, though? Because you look like a woman?
If there is a dress, for example, that's known, like, for example, pink, right? This is the color is known for women, right? And most people agreed universally that this is the color of women, right? So if you wear it as a man, for example, you will look a little bit weird.
Oh, I see. Right? I see what you're saying.
And we know that Islam always looking for people to be men, right? To be strong, to be ready, to defend their countries, to defend their homelands, and do these things.
Okay, excellent, good point. There's also a big controversy I wanted to ask you about. The Islamic practice of circumcision. Years ago in the United States, people said, mashallah, this is a good practice, it's hygienically sound, and they would practice it in the hospital, and the insurance would cover it too. Nowadays, you know, politics have changed, times have changed, so the hospital insurance doesn't cover it, and they deny that it has any medical benefit. Can you, and I think this is a political thing regarding Muslims in the Western country, can you talk to us about the tradition of circumcision? Why do we do it?
Because I think this question needs a physician in a way. But we have a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ told us as men to have circumcision, and he said that the first one who circumcised himself was Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he did this because this is the sunnah or the nature while he was 80 years old, right? So I was reading, I think, maybe a few weeks ago or a few days ago, an article about the benefits of circumcision. It keeps you safe, keeps you sound against many
Yeah,
diseases.
there's many, yeah.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
said, we're not physicians, but I mean, if anybody Googles this or looks at it, there's numerous and numerous
You know,
benefits.
we have to bear in mind, we have to be sure that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says something, then you have to listen carefully, and you should make sure that there is some benefits out of this. And then when he says to you, don't do this, make sure that there are huge risks and the huge disasters that will follow.
We can be sure of that, because if you think about it, if Allah has ordered us to do something like circumcision many years ago, it seems like something very strange and very painful.
Yeah.
And you would think that there's no benefit.
Yeah.
But of course we have to remember that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us
Yeah.
a reason behind every wisdom. There's no doubt about that. But the tradition, just really quick, one more thing about this circumcision. It goes back to the Prophet Abraham as well.
Yes, alayhi salam. Yes.
Oh, okay. So this has been going on for many, many, many years. Okay,
Yeah.
inshallah. Okay, well, thank you, Doctor, very much for those excellent benefits. Now I want to change gears a little bit and talk about hygiene in the food that we eat. As you know, Muslims slaughter their meat.
Yeah.
And this creates a better, healthier meat
Yeah.
for us as Muslims, doesn't it? Because I don't know if you know in the United States how they're killing meat. They don't slaughter it, they shock it or drown it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you lived in England for a while, so you had
Yeah.
experienced that. But hygienically, this is better as well, isn't it? Because the blood flows out of the body of the
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, subhanAllah. So Islam is covering
Everything.
everything.
Because if even, subhanAllah, the hadith says about killing animals, he said that when you kill animals, you have to be merciful to them, give the animal that chance to get rid of all blood, right? When you slaughter it, you shouldn't hasten to just get the food. No, leave it until it's completely comes to a full stop, right?
Full stop.
Yeah, because the blood itself that the animal contains, it's very, very... I mean, it
needs to get out of the body to be healthy,
yeah.
of course. Yeah, I have to stop you there at the end of this segment. Thank you very much for those excellent comments.
Okay.
You guys don't go anywhere. We have some interesting questions from the studio audience.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك.
Why is Hajj so important?
Allah the Almighty said in verse number 97 of the third chapter of the Quran, which is known as Ali Imran, He said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا تابعوا بين الحج والعمرة فإنهما ينفيان الفقر والذنوب. Follow up, performing Hajj after Hajj and Umrah after Umrah. So what is the first step? Ihram. The first pillar is Ihram. What does Ihram mean? And what does it entail? Hajj al-Ifrad, many of the local people do Hajj al-Ifrad, and others because they're exempt from offering the Hajj or the sacrifice. It doesn't require Hajj. So when you say لبيك اللهم عمرة وحجة, that's called Qiran. And you do the rites of Umrah, and you do not take off the Ihram condition. Rather, you continue until you finish the Hajj. So Al-Hajj and Al-Umrah, and following up between Hajj and Umrah, for those who can afford it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives their past sins or whatever sins in between.
إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for staying with us and watching your program, Let's Talk. Okay, you guys, we're talking about being clean. We're talking about cleanliness in Islam. We know Islam covers a political spectrum. It covers a judicial system. It covers and regulates our financial institutions. It governs the way we deal with our children, with our spouses, with our parents, with friends and strangers. The question was in the beginning of the episode, does it regulate our personal hygiene? And of course, we have Dr. Mahmoud Adinawi from Al-Azhar University to tell us the answers to these questions. Thank you much for your time. Thank you for sitting with us, Doctor. I think in this episode, inshallah, we have some questions from our studio audience. Assalamu alaikum. Brother, where are you from and what is your name?
I'm from Bosnia and my name is Dino.
Oh, very nice. We're very pleased to have you with us. What is your question?
I would ask, what is the best method to teach our children to be clean?
Oh, excellent question. Thank you, Dino. Thank you, brother, for that excellent question. How can we teach our children from a young age to observe proper hygiene and stay clean?
Great. The best way in which if you want to teach your children to be real good examples, you have to be this example first.
You have to be the example so your
Yeah.
children see you.
So first of all, you have to collect them, for example, and say, okay, come on, sons and daughters, just have a look at what I'm going to do now, right?
Okay.
So they will watch you, and make sure that the next day they are going to imitate you. Right?
Okay, right, excellent.
And you have to be patient with them. For example, if they do the wudu, for example, incorrectly, you have to take to them gently. Look, son, this is not the right way. Okay, do it again, and you do it for the second time, the third, until you are making sure that they have done it in the correct way. Right? And you bring them, for example, if they are in their early years, you bring them something like colorful toothbrushes. Right?
Stuff like that to encourage them.
Yeah, just to encourage them and give them like rewards and sweets and these things, and then they will love this.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor, for that comment. The ablution, which we all perform 5 times before our prayers, is widespread and common and well known.
Yeah.
But what about washing our hands before we eat? I mean, that's a simple thing that I think a lot of people forget. Do we have any evidence from that from the Quran and Sunnah about the importance of being clean before we eat? I know we have some supplications that we should say before we eat.
That's right. Actually, I don't remember if there is a hadith or anything about this area, but we are told Islamically, because, subhanAllah, the hand itself might contain, if you shake hand with somebody else, for example, you don't know what he was doing, for example.
Okay,
his hand might not be unclean, right? So it's safe, right?
Yes.
In order to get the most benefits or the total benefits of your food is to wash your hands before eating. Is that right?
Yeah, of course.
And then somebody else would say, okay, I have done this. So why should after I finish my eating, why should I finish my hands again? It's a very long issue.
Right?
Yes, because, for example, the remains or the food itself might stay in your, for example, hands, and again you might shake hand with anybody else who might have sensitivity to something like.
That's a good point. An allergy, perhaps, anything. Excellent point. But real quick, also the manner in which we eat. Some people say it's the sunnah to eat with 3 fingers and eat with your right hand. Is that correct?
That's right, but that's not the most important thing. If you're in a country, for example, that people use spoons and forks, right, you can use them. Islam is not against these things at all.
Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, thank you for your comment, Doctor. I think we have another question from the studio audience.
Yes.
Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
Many people have obsessions about their tahara, and that makes performing their ablutions very difficult. So how does Islam treat this matter?
That's an excellent question, brother. What is your name and where are you from?
My name's Amir, and I'm from Boston.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. That's an excellent question because we have something that we call obsessive-compulsive disorder, where people, they obsess about something. And sometimes when you go into the wudu section, you do see people really as if they're taking a shower and really, really thoroughly making a very thorough wudu. Is that necessary? How can we deal with that?
Islam is always looking for things in a very, very simple way, right?
Okay.
So when you make wudu, for example, you shouldn't exaggerate using water, right? You shouldn't even use a big amount of water because the Prophet ﷺ said, even if you are beside a river, right? This is a sound hadith.
Okay.
So he saw one of the companions using a lot of water and he said, no, you have to use it in a rational way.
This is an excellent hadith, especially for here in Egypt, because we're here by the river. I'm sorry, go ahead, Doctor.
He said, even if you were on a river, for example, you are close to a river, you are making your wudu out of, for example, let's say the river Nile, you shouldn't use the water excessively.
Okay.
Right? Some people are obsessed by, for example, when he intends to make prayer, he would say, oh, I'm going to pray Dhuhr. No, it's Asr. No, it's Maghrib. Oh, I forgot.
Okay,
I haven't done my ablution. He has to go back. He might miss the congregational prayer. Right? But just because the devil or the shaitan is playing around this area. If somebody is obsessed, right? Some people might spend about an hour, for example, doing their wudu. He should seek a medical consultation.
Okay, because this is actually a psychological issue that needs to be dealt with. That's an excellent point. Thank you, Doctor, so much. Do we have any more questions from the studio audience?
Assalamu
alaikum. Brother. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Liban. I'm from Canada.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, my question for the Sheikh is, you were mentioning about how Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he, loved perfume and to make himself smell nice, but it's just, in the West or maybe even here, there's a lot of women who just shower themselves with perfume before they leave the house.
Yeah, right.
And I just, wanted to ask you the Islamic ruling on that and maybe just remind us, that the sexes have different rules on the way they, do these things. So,
Jazakallah, and thank you for that wonderful question, brother.
Jazakallah khair.
That's an excellent question. Actually, I experience sometimes when a woman walks by you dressing very attractively, and you're already trying to avoid you're looking at her, and then you get this big whiff of perfume, it's very bad. What is the Islamic perspective on these matters?
Islamically, for example, first of all, the lady shouldn't do anything like this, except in the presence of her husband, especially
at
her home.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
But if she goes out, she can use something like deodorant just to get rid of the bad smell, for example, of the sweat or whatever. But to use a perfume, and then she is going to attract some people, right? And somebody else might be affected. She might be the reason, for example, that a person might get his faith decreased.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then no, she's prohibited from doing anything out of her home, like using masks or like using perfumes or whatever, or scenting herself.
Right.
No,
not at all. Okay, but as far as deodorant, that is to, not have a bad odor. That's fine. Deodorant.
But at the same time, she shouldn't keep, for example, give the impression that she doesn't smell well, for example. Right? Keep something that just get rid of the bad smell.
Yeah, excellent.
But it's not something, extravagantly or excessively that will make people attractive to her smell.
Okay, excellent. And as far as men, perfume and cologne, we should say for men, as long as it doesn't contain alcohol,
it's fine.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
And in fact, like we said, it's actually a good tradition, so you smell good in the congregational prayers.
So back to the issue of women, because woman usually is doing her best to please her husband.
Of course,
right?
yeah, of course.
So why should she wear perfume? To please whom? Does she want to please all people, for example? No.
Yeah.
She just should use these things for her husband.
Well, this is the same issue with makeup.
Yeah.
Who are we trying to please also? And this is a big topic, inshallah. We can talk about this for age in another show, inshallah. I think we have one more question from the studio audience.
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, excellent. Where are you from, brother? And what is your name?
I'm from Canada, but I'm originally from Somalia.
SubhanAllah, we have a lot of Canadians, a lot of Somalis these days. Thank you. Thank you for being here so much. Go ahead, brother. What would you like to ask?
My question is that there's some people that say that women, when they're wearing their abaya, that it should be on the floor, but I'm not sure if that's Islamically true.
Women?
Yeah, women.
Okay, when they're wearing their abaya, it should be on the floor.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's Islamically true. But as the doctor said, that like men, they should fold their pants because of the dirt and stuff on the floor.
That's an excellent question. Yeah.
So I'm not sure
why. Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah. Right. Doctor, what do you think about that?
Yeah, because we can't apply the rules of men to women. Right? Okay. Because men go to the mosque, but women do not go to the mosque.
For example.
Right? Because the hadith says that the woman's prayer in her home is better than praying in the mosque.
Right.
Because usually, the woman's job, for example, which Islam is recommending, right, is to look after the children and build up the community. And because if she takes care of the children very well, now she's building a very strong community.
Of course,
yeah. So if she is wearing abaya, for example, always Islam is against anything that keeps the woman, for example, go alone.
Okay.
She's not protected by anybody. She should always be in the presence of a person like mahram, her husband, her brother.
Okay.
Some people say, oh, why should you put all these restrictions against women?
Right. Where's the freedom, doctor?
Where is the freedom?
Right. This is the argument, yeah.
I always say that, let's say that, for example, you have something very, very valuable, like gold, like diamond.
Okay.
Will you make it visible to all people?
Of course
or you'll do your best to hide it?
Yeah, that's an excellent analogy, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing with my jewels, with my diamonds, with my gold. So my wife or my daughter is more valuable than these things.
Of course, yeah. Excellent. Actually, we just had a program called Building a Better Future with Imam Kareem Abu Zaid.
Yeah.
And he used the analogy of the Battle of Uhud. And he said the archers left their post.
Yeah.
And he said the post was the house. It was supposed to be the house.
Yes.
And now we left our post, and it's hard to, how can we build a better future and do that? But as far as the abaya reaching the ground, it does create a bit of a hygienic issue. But I suppose the important thing is that she's covering herself, and that's the more important, in her feet as well.
Yeah.
Because we do see the practice in the countries here where the woman, perhaps she's even wearing niqab, but then you look down and she's wearing sandals.
Yeah.
It's strange, isn't it?
That's very strange.
Yeah, that's not a correct practice, is it?
If she's wearing abaya or whatever, anyway, that's something which is a little bit wide, loose, doesn't show her body, doesn't show the parts of her body, right? And it covers the areas that Islam says that, for example, it's only just the hands and the face that should be visible from the woman, right?
Yeah,
so that's fine.
Yeah, so that's no problem, yeah. SubhanAllah, it's an interesting issue about the beard and hygiene. I recently read that people that shave every day that don't have a beard, no matter the size of the beard, it's less healthy, actually, because they say the beard protects your skin against the wind factor and oils and things like that. SubhanAllah, that in Islam we wear beards.
And the most or the nicest thing, it makes you look nicer. It gives you a good appearance. I was reading, I don't know whether it is a hadith or something like this, but angels in the sky, they say, glory be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who made women beautiful with their long hair and made men smart or look nice with their long beards.
SubhanAllah. Because this goes back to a man looking like a man and a woman looking like a woman. I want to share a funny story with you if you have time. I was working in the United States and a man came to me and he made a joke about my beard. And I said to him, he was clean shaven, and I said to him, a man without a beard, that's like a lion without a mane. Because you know the lion,
that's right.
Because the male lion, SubhanAllah, has a mane. But the hadith, I mean, for the idea of having a beard is not for hygienic purposes. This is just
sunnah.
This is a sunnah that we follow because it is a sunnah, not because for hygiene.
And some people take it, for example, personally against Islam. But it's not only Islam. If you look at the most outstanding figures in Christianity,
they have huge
beards.
Big beards too, with big mustaches, a huge beard.
And rabbis in Judaism, they grow their beards. Bigger than Muslims. So why should always Muslims are under concentration?
We're always being picked on, because if you notice too, but SubhanAllah, the beauty of the Muslim beard though is that it's trimmed and the mustache is trimmed and it's clean. Because when you see people from other religions, their mustache isn't trimmed at all, and it doesn't look clean, from an eating perspective. So going back to hygiene, SubhanAllah, Islam, all the practices seem to be hygienic. There's an issue I want to ask you about. I never quite understood this practice and how it can be hygienic. If there's no water around for a Muslim to make wudu, he does something called tayammum.
Using dust.
So how is this what is this product? I've never done this before. I've always had water.
I'll tell you about something which is very amazing, right? There is a hadith, for example, says, if a dog, for example, has licked the plate that you use for food, what should you do? If you use anything which for cleaning, it will not clean it as dust, right? So the hadith says, just wash it 6 times with water and then another time with dust. So the dust takes dirt, takes microbes, takes viruses, takes everything, right? Sometimes, if you have gold, if you leave the gold for some time, then it will be covered with dust. So the dust is to keep the gold valuable. And then just you remove the dust, and the gold will be as it is.
So you would go through the same process with dust?
With just for example in tayammum, you just wipe your hands, wipe your face, and that's it. And in case of Islam doesn't want to keep you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is no water, so He gave you the option to be in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe we don't understand the significance of tayammum very well, but this is an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said in the very beginning, when there is an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make sure that there is some benefit behind. We might not be able to understand it, but it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Because SubhanAllah, there's many things that we didn't understand at the time of the Muslims did not understand at the time of revelation that doctors know now. Like SubhanAllah, I read there's a verse in the Quran, I'm sure you know a doctor, that says, Allah says, we created everything from water.
I
mean, SubhanAllah, how can this be revealed to a man in the desert? And later on, scientists say, every creation, every organism is like 75 percent water or something like that.
Every living creature,
everything.
Animals, human beings, plants,
anything
can never grow without having water, subhanAllah.
It's very, very interesting. But doctor, one thing I want to go back to, when you said be careful about the wudu that you make, the excessive water that you use, this is a hygienic topic and an environmental topic as well. It's a very interesting one. Is there any hadith about the amount? I've heard people say the Prophet ﷺ, he used a certain amount of water. They had a measurement. Are you familiar with this?
No, I didn't hear about this.
But he uses...
just do your best to make the amount of water you use small, because if you concentrate on this area, the water we are using, you are using me, it's not mine, it's not yours, because millions or billions of people are sharing you the same source, right? So let's say that, for example, Malik used, for example, 10 gallons, Mahmoud used 20 gallons. How about the brothers here? How about the rest of the world?
Consideration for our fellow Muslim people,
That's right.
SubhanAllah, Islam, it really is a complete way of life that covers everything. This segment is finished, but we have one more, so stay with us, doctor. You guys don't go home, don't go anywhere, we have more with Dr. Mahmoud El-Danawi.
لبيك اللهم لبيك
لبيك اللهم لبيك
لبيك لا.
This is part of our deen. This is part of our iman. That when we go for Hajj, we should not have the intentions that once we go back to the same old habits. One of these meanings that we learn in the journey of Hajj is how to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we learn how to reach it in the journey of Hajj. And this is something that we learn in the journey of Hajj by pondering over the verses in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in the Quran in Surah Al-Hajj. And that's why a Muslim in the journey of Hajj, in all of our life, a Muslim should be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who are making Hajj to accept their Hajj, and for those who were not able to make Hajj, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them to make them and give them the means to perform this act of worship.
لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to your program, Let's Talk. I'm your host, Malik Vegilatos, and we're still talking about hygiene. We know Islam, we already talked about it. It covers a political system, a legal system, a financial system. It governs and regulates how we behave with our families, with our friends, with strangers. It doesn't leave a stone untouched. At the beginning of the program, we asked the doctor, is personal hygiene included in that? And of course, he's answered our questions. Yes, it most certainly is. Dr. Mahmoud, thank you for staying with us for the fourth segment.
You're welcome.
And inshallah, I think we have some questions from the brothers in the studio audience. Assalamu alaikum, young brother. How are you? Go ahead, what's your question?
My question is that in the Quran, it says, إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ نَجَسٌ.
Yes.
So, in Canada and America, you see Muslim people greeting non-Muslims with their hand. So, do you have to run to the washroom and wash it quickly?
That's an excellent question. I'm glad you bring that up.
Very good. That's right.
Excellent. And maybe you can translate, before you answer the question, if you can translate the verse for us.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I work on the set of Ask Huda, which is like a fatwa show that receives live calls.
Yeah.
And we've gotten this question before.
Yeah.
So can you answer it, Doctor?
First of all, the verse talks about, the context of the verse talks about entering the holy mosque. It doesn't talk about to deal with people in the daily life.
Okay.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا يَقْرَبُوا الْمَسْجِدَ الْحَرَامِ. So they shouldn't come closer to the holy mosque because they are not Muslims.
Okay.
But it doesn't. No, because some people misunderstand this, and when he shakes hand with a Christian or a Jewish, for example, directly he goes to, no, this is wrong.
Okay.
Because they are our brothers. Right?
Okay, this is the context of this hadith means entering.
Islam cares a lot about, Islam called them the people of the book.
Okay.
Right? The followers of Jesus alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. Then we have to treat them nicely, kindly, and always we have to show them kindness.
Okay.
And to be a good example to them, because one day they might follow us.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
If they do not follow us, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is going to question them about what we are told by Allah and by the messenger. Myself, I always say that every human being, even if he is irreligious, he is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's an excellent way to look at it as well.
So if you have, for example, something very valuable like a watch which was made in Switzerland, right?
Okay.
You say, wow, it's very valuable.
Right.
So how about the creation, the product of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, yeah. But thank you, Doctor, for answering that question. That's an excellent point. But so we can say the context of this hadith, this verse is not a general rule for interaction.
No.
This is for entering Mecca, inshallah. Okay. But the word najjas means...
Najjas means, it means the personal hygiene, for example, they are not clean, or because they are ascribing another partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, because this has two, so it has two meanings also, a spiritual cleanliness, like we said, and physical cleanliness.
Because as you mentioned, physical and spiritual.
Okay, there is a link between the two. That's an excellent point. That was an excellent question by the Tayyib. Do we have any more questions from the studio audience?
Yes, I have a question.
Oh, excellent. Please, go right ahead, sir.
My name is Ibrahim and I'm coming from Bosnia.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for being with us, Ibrahim.
My question is, if I clean street, am I be rewarded, although it's public things?
Excellent point, because I do have a hadith. Thank you for asking that question, but we do have a hadith about removing objects from the road.
Great.
But we see so much filth in the road. In many countries, we don't want to name any people and make them feel embarrassed. A lot of countries you travel to, the streets aren't clean.
Yeah.
So are we rewarded for removing objects and cleaning objects and filth from the street?
Sure.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt, because the hadith said, Al-Iman Iman has been divided into about 73 or maybe more than 73, right?
Branches.
Branches, sorry.
Okay.
Right? So the hadith says, the biggest of which is to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah,
okay.
And the lowest or the last grade of the branches of faith is to remove objects that might hurt people. Like, for example, if you found junk or a piece of wood, right, or a big rock that can't be moved, then you have to do your best. Or you find something very dangerous, like electricity, for example, you have to report the officials and say, oh, please, come in, there is a big thing here. Another hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, I saw a person in paradise. He didn't do much deeds, he didn't do something miraculous, but he only took a piece of wood which was hurting people, a big piece of wood, and just he put it aside. Right?
But why is it important to do that? What's the big deal just moving an object from the road?
Because it might hurt others.
Out of care for other people?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because we have that community, that sense of community.
That's right. If you find something like rubbish, for example, and you feel that it's okay with you, because some people say it's below my dignity to do that.
Right.
Just you remove it because it might have needle, for example.
Yeah.
It might, for example, hurt someone.
Cause an accident.
And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless. The hadith said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the deed of somebody who gave water to a dog, who saved the life of a dog, and the person entered paradise because of giving a life to an animal.
And she was
How about the person who gives life to human beings?
Yes, subhanAllah, excellent point. On the contrary, if someone litters or puts an object in the road, do we have any evidence that that person will be held accountable for that, or there's a punishment for that?
Yes.
I mean, that's not a good thing to do, but people constantly are littering.
He's not a Muslim.
This man that litters, this is not from Islam. He's not a Muslim.
Identically, because the hadith says in Arabic, al-Muslim man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. The real Muslim is the one about his tongue and about his hands. People are safe. He doesn't hurt people by his tongue. He doesn't hurt people or cause them any kind of damage by his hand, like, for example, putting some objects in the middle of the road or in a public road, where cars, where people walk.
Right, okay. This is out of care for our community. Dr. Mahmoud, the episode is over. It's been a pleasure being with you. It's been an honor truly to have you with me here today. Inshallah, I want you to come back for another episode of Let's Talk if you're available. Inshallah, I know you're busy with the university as well. Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. And I also want to thank the studio audience. We have a very international, very vibrant studio audience from Canada, Somalia, and Bosnia. I'm inviting you guys back. I hope you guys come back with us, inshallah, okay? You guys promise to come back, right? Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. And once again, dear viewers at home, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody at Hooded TV as well who makes this show possible. And most importantly, we want to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for giving us the strength to complete another episode of your program, Let's Talk. So until next time, I leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds